You can almost segment the country geographically. The football played in the South today is the fastest form of the game we've ever seen. The speed on each team is incredible. And they play an explosive, high-scoring brand of football. Now, when you move into the Midwest, again, weather's a factor. So you're going to see the fundamentally sound, powerful style of football, more conservative. There have been some refinements, but it's still Woody Hayes football. Now, in the East, there's the traditional schools that have solid programs that play a power style of game and that depend heavily on their tradition and the style of football related to it to really thrive. Now, when you go to the West, it's a little different. It's wide open passing. There may be a little more skill involved. Part of it's the weather, but part of it's just sort of a lifestyle or a certain mentality. So look for the skill football in the West, power football in the East, good fundamentally sound football in the weather conditions of the Midwest, and all that speed in the South. Against traditional rivals, scouting is very important. You get to know the other coach frontwards and backwards. You know the players. You know who's been recruited and where they are in their development. You know their football because you've looked at every tape they've played for years. You really know them well, but of course they know you too. Now when you come into a new opponent, someone from another part of the country, you better give special attention to their history because they'll come up with special plays you haven't seen unless you really investigate. So scouting has become a major part of the game. The use of videotape is extremely important, and the ability to cut up those videotapes and make your own so-called tape of a given form of football or the style played by a given team becomes critical. It's an industry in itself. Well, in preparation for a game, you have a weekly schedule that's almost allotted by the minute. Every hour of every day is accounted for. Your scouting report is critical, but then utilizing those reports in a digestible form for the players so that they get just the information that can help them play and win the game. The coaches are doing a lot of things that the players really aren't necessarily aware of because that's related to the strategy and the tactics and the plan. So there are continuous hours made all through the week on the different phases of the game, and you can isolate phases from being on the opponent's goal line to being backed up against your own goal line. Well, a bowl game's something different because you have at least 2 extra weeks to prepare. So during that time, your players will take a rest, but then you get back to work and you do thorough planning. You've seen every game the opposition has played that year and in other bowl games they've played so that the coach comes up with special plays in previous bowl games. You're well aware of it. You'll see defenses you haven't seen. People will experiment some. They'll take some chances. And offensively, you have to be aware that they're going to gamble more and be ready to blitz you more in the bowl game. So you better have all of those devices ready. And defensively, you're going to see some new formations. You'd better be ready for them. So the added weeks of practice really are required because of the significance of the bowl and because it means so darn much to both schools. Well, recruiting has become an art form. It's really a form of business. There are scouting concerns all across the country that keep track of every high school senior. They know the grade point average, they know their personal interests, but most of all, they know their athletic talents. So these services are available to every university, plus the universities themselves have all of their coaches who, by NCAA rule, can do recruiting at certain periods of time. They have often a recruiter who does nothing but keep track of high school juniors and seniors. This process is absolutely critical. It's the lifeline of each college and university. And many schools have their own type or profile of athlete. You look at the schools in the state of Florida, they're looking for that speed on the track, either the 100 meters or the triple jump, something of that nature. You're looking for size and power if you're in the Midwest. And out west, you're looking for that guy that can throw the football. So each geographical area recruits somewhat differently, but believe me, it's a very intense part of a college program. You're always seeking that outstanding athlete who is also a top student, someone that is serious. There's a serious side to them about their education. They look forward to taking the tougher classes, to learning, to ultimately graduating, and then having a career that can really give them a quality of life later. But meanwhile, you're looking for athletic ability. Number one in my agenda would be size and range and so-called leverage. We're looking for the taller athlete that's mobile rather than the more squat or heavy-set athlete. We want someone that can really move and that can explode, and someone who really thrives on the game of football. They have a thirst for the game. They love to play. You get that combination, and you've got your ideal student athlete. I'm always seeking young athletes who have an intuitive feeling about the game, who are instinctive competitors, but who have an intelligence that allows you to teach them the broadest of skills and allow you to use your strategy and tactics to their full extent, not limited by the intelligence of the athlete or their skills. Well, the contemporary college football program is related a lot to the skills of the game. The young men coming from the high schools know more football, they understand it better, they have more skill, they're more appreciative of it. Now when they enroll at the university, they're getting outstanding coaching, and they are specializing more and more. Now you have specialized players that play any number of positions that have roles to play on your squad. And of course it's up to the coaches to find just the right slot for just the right athlete. There's a pregame meal typically at 9:30 in the morning. Often there's a chapel service prior to that. But then after that pregame meal, there'll be some meetings. They'll be rather brief and rather distinct. And then the ball club will go to the stadium itself. Now there'll be taping done. Sometimes there'll be rehab or therapy work being done with athletes, preparing them for the game. Naturally, they'll put on that uniform and then anticipate the coach visiting with them briefly about the key points related to that contest and what they're going to have to do. In the first quarter, establish your basic running game so that you can set up the play pass for the second and third quarter. In the first quarter, don't hesitate to use your reverse and your special plays because later they may be of no value to you. When you get into the third quarter, mix the run and the pass. Be ready to throw on first down if necessary. Don't become stereotyped. In the fourth quarter, your execution is absolutely critical. Use your basic plays. Make sure that you eliminate the penalties, the fumbles, those miscues that can cost you the ball game. The first quarter of the game can be extremely critical because at that point, the team that best diagnoses the opponent's game plan has a real edge. So you've plotted out just what you're going to be looking for as the game starts. Their defensive formations, the style of plays they're utilizing, whether they're blitzing, all of these things are factored in because the sooner you can get a feel for what they're doing, then you can apply your own strategies. So it's absolutely critical that your men in the press box, your players on the field, when they return to the sideline, are able to exchange on exactly what's going on there, hopefully with very little error. Now the second quarter begins. You'd better have everything in place. You'd better be able to stop the opponent or move the ball yourself. There's there's going to have to be some scoring. You should be fully in sync. Your team should be functioning and executing and thinking well, because this is the key part of the game. You need to get in that end zone. You need to get points before the halftime starts, because you need that edge, that impetus, that momentum. So the first quarter, you're feeling them out. The second quarter, you get your momentum. The halftime period is ultra important. Some people say it's to inspire your team again, but in reality, it's to bring the team together and discuss very distinctly what happened in the first half and what to anticipate in the second half and what the plan will be. You only have a short period of time to do all of those things, so your coaching staff and your players have to be totally mobilized to get all of these things done before you're asked to take the field again. Most often it works. Now when you take the field in the third quarter, you should be in sync. There may be some surprises. Somebody will try to spring something. But now the real test between the two ball clubs is in motion. One or the other is going to try to get the upper hand. You should be in sync. You should be functioning smoothly with your game plan, and then depending heavily on your execution. Now as the fourth quarter begins, both sides have taken their position. I assume one or the other will be ahead. And it's up for one team to hold the lead, to continue to make first downs and control that football and get time off the clock and take away the game plan of the other team. Now if you find yourself behind, you'd better be able to execute those plays that go for bigger chunks of yardage. The forward pass becomes absolutely critical. You really have to work as a team because penalties or fumbles are disastrous. So it's a test of character in the fourth quarter. The two-point conversion is naturally very interesting. There's a surprise element. You come out very quickly, put the ball in play, and try to get a quick 2 points before the opponent can adjust. Or there's the situation where you have to go for two and your opponent knows it. They'll have a defense for you. They've practiced it. They know what things you can and can't do because of the short distance between the line of scrimmage and the end of the end zone. So you have to have your own offensively, your own style, certain things that you've practiced and execute. You just get one shot, and it's most difficult. The percentages are about 1 in 4 making the 2-point play. And you'd better pick just the right time. And if you're behind, you better be ready to go for the 2-point play on more than one occasion. So if you make it once, that gives you the edge. If you don't make that particular instance, you can come back and at least tie the game with the next 2-pointer. So there's a lot of strategy involved, but the coach always knows that the odds are against him going for that 2-point play. The college football game is much more fluid. You don't always have even matchups at every position. You don't have star players at every position. So there are certain situations in which in a college situation, one player can dominate, or 2 or 3 can dominate. It's up to the coach and the rest of the squad to take full advantage of that. In professional football, there's a difference because experience is a factor. You have more time to build your team. There's more balance. There's more parity between one team or the other, or one defense and one offense. And so now the skill and the execution becomes critical, and the strategies become critical. In college football, naturally, there's a more run-oriented style. The option play, all forms of it are very evident in college football. They're tougher in pro football because the quarterback sometimes is unable to take the punishment, so to speak, to run the option. But in college football, it is a free-for-all because you have the option, you have the sprint-out pass, you have the special plays, and then you have the power running. The coach-player relationship in professional football often is more businesslike. You are well acquainted naturally. You respect the other person, admire them, sometimes care very much for them. But it's a business. You have to understand it. And because of that, the coach sometimes is a little more removed from the athletes themselves. But there's a certain level of maturity. You can talk more directly with people, and they can handle the give and take or the frustration and disappointment a little bit better. College football, the athletes are more impressionable, but they're also learning something. You would like to think as a college coach, you're giving people lessons that they can use later in life. You're actually teaching on the athletic field those facets of their life, whether it be communication or they're dealing with other people or they're dealing with pressure. All of these things are experiences you want to offer the collegiate athlete because they can use them later in their life. Football is just one sport of many that are offered to the student body. There are women's sports, men's sports, any number of them, and so consequently it's just one part of a basic thrust of curriculum that's offered to every student. Everyone can participate, and football is just one of those sports. The administration in the college level must manage all of these sports, make sure there's real equity, but the bottom line, as we all know, is football must finance a good part of these opportunities. Professional is somewhat different. There's hard-bitten management that's on the scene that depends heavily on their negotiations to sign or to trade or to acquire talent. It's a real skill and it's a distinct industry, but all you have to worry about is your own team. You don't have to worry about all of these other sports. The college campus on Saturday mornings is alive. There's excitement, there's energy. People truly would like to represent their own university and to root for their own players. There's a communal feeling. The students, the alums, people interested in the community, in the teams themselves, the families, and it brings everybody together for a happening. In the professional stadium on Sunday afternoon, there are a lot of loyal, determined fans who really would like to see their team win or their city win or their stars perform. They're out regardless of weather conditions. They thoroughly love the experience of watching the combat on the field, the intense energy that's involved, and the competition. They also thoroughly enjoy the highly skilled athletes plying their trade. Your professional franchise represents typically a large city, a mega city, plus any number of small communities in the area. Each one has their own newspaper. On occasion, the major newspapers would have 4, 5, or 6 people assigned full-time to a professional football franchise. There's a hype, there's a tremendous press of the media at all times. Each person, each writer, trying to find a unique story of their own. At the college level, you have the student body represented by their paper and their journalists. You have, naturally, alumni magazines. You have the local newspaper. And in some universities, you have a press of people from all over the country representing the historical institutions that have great athletic teams that have followings all over the world with alumni and people who just over the years have grown to love a given institution. Football can be part of the entire educational experience of a student athlete because you learn lessons in football. But just as importantly, you must organize your time. You must address issues. You must plan and rehearse things and then put them into practice. You must deal with other people. You're expected to under real stress. You have to have an ability to communicate or develop it because under stress, People have to work closely together in a coordinated way to get things done. And you have to have a game plan implemented to you, and then you have to put it into practice on the field just a few days later. Being part of an athletic team requires that you work with all kinds of people. You'll work with other athletes. You'll be on the team with them. They'll be from other geographical areas, other spiritual beliefs, different kinds of economic backgrounds, ethnically very diverse. This experience exposes you to the kinds of things that you'll be doing and the kind of experiences you'll be having later in life. In choosing your university or college, think as much about education as you do about the sport itself. Naturally, you want a good, solid program with excellent coaching, a program that's had some history of success, one that you can believe in. But at the same time, you want to leave that school with a diploma, one that you can take pride in, and having learned not only the very basic lessons of life, but technical information that qualifies you to do something upon graduation. Competition on the football field can be related directly to our society. We're a free enterprise society, and each person will have every opportunity, but they're going to have to take advantage of it. That's what occurs on the athletic field. You'll have your options, your opportunities. It's your job to become the very best athlete you can, the most skilled, and then to be able to compete with a clear mind. As in society, you must be able to communicate and be ready to do that under stress and pressure, to be able to keep your poise when things are most difficult. You also must be able to deal with success and not celebrate to the extent that you lose your concentration and lose a sense of priority.